So, how do you improve your catch in the water without worrying about technique, right? So, I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you are trying to improve your catch in all your strokes, but you have done loads of technique work. That's what most people do. They think that it's a problem with their technique. They just need to get a higher elbow and keep working on that high elbow, and they need to do more sculling and things like this. If you're a complete beginner to swimming, then that stuff might be useful. But at some point, you've done enough technique work, right? You know what you need to do. You just can't do it when it matters in racing and when you're going fast and when you're tired, right? So this video is about the basics of the stuff that we can do outside of the pool to improve your catch without you doing more of the stuff that is already not working for you, right? You've beat to death the technical aspects. You've beat to death just doing more of that stuff. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through some of the main reasons that your catch you might be slipping water. And it's probably some stuff that you haven't thought about or heard of before. And I'm going to give you some basic places to start with this. Obviously, we have programs. They'll be in the description where you can do this properly and fully on your own. With a gym, without a gym, it'll all be in there. So the first thing that you have to understand is, do you have the adequate mobility to be able to actually even get into a good catch position? Okay, so to get into a good catch position for every single stroke requires a decent amount of internal rotation, right? So this is external rotation, this is internal rotation of the actual humerus of your actual shoulder. So we'll keep it simple like that for now because that's easy to understand. Internal rotation, boom, that's where you want to be to get into that high elbow catch position, okay? If you here, the more you come into external rotation, the more that elbow is going to drop, the less you're going to be able to create that good scooper position or whatever you like to call it. So fundamentally, basics, can you even do that? If you can't, then that's the first place you need to start, right? Can you even get into that position? That's a mobility issue, right? So to improve your internal shoulder rotation, it is not just about doing a bunch of rotator cuff drills, okay? A lot of people do that, and that's part of it. That's part of our shoulder mobility program, is working on the rotator cuff and this basic movement, getting those muscles around there to internally rotate, externally rotate those muscles, that shoulder. But what people miss out is they just leave it there, right? A lot of physio programs, like back when I had shoulder injury back in the day, the physio that I went to basically just gave me rotator cuff exercises, band exercises, doing 3x20 rotator cuff exercises, and it didn't really fix the problem, right? I just kind of stayed in pain for a very long time, because that's one part, right? The shoulder is very complex joint. There's lots of stuff going on because it has such a good range of motion. You can do so much with it. It also means that there's lots of things that can go wrong, but it also means that there's lots of things that just making one little part of your shoulder better can have a really big effect. It can completely get rid of your pain. So the different areas that you need to focus on that may be problem areas for you if you can't get internal rotation, external rotation, because it's all important, because also external rotation, if you're lacking in external rotation, the less space you have to internal rotate as well. So, but I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. Loads of parts are included in allowing you to get into this good catch position. So you've got the actual shoulder joint, that's this joint here that does this. Then you have your shoulder blade, right? So your shoulder blade, I can't really show you here, but your shoulder blade, let's say this is your shoulder blade, and you have your rib cage here. Your rib cage should be in this convex shape, and then your shoulder blade is this concave, or is it vice versa? I don't know. But basically, they're supposed to be like this. So they slide over one another because your shoulder blade holds your socket, basically. So if your shoulder blade can't glide upwards, this is your shoulder blade. If your shoulder blade can't glide upwards like this, and this is your socket, your humerus is going to have, let's say your shoulder blade can't rotate, your humerus is going to get stuck here. It's not going to have as much room to move around when you get into this overhead position, right? If your shoulder blade only pulls you to here, you're going to be kind of stuck here, and you're going to have less rotation, less movement there. So if your shoulder blade can't glide upwards and basically create this, present the socket up overhead, then you're going to struggle. So that's another part of it. Tight shoulder blade is also going to affect your ability to get into a catch. Then we have the actual rib cage. Like I said before, we have this convex concave shape. If these aren't gliding over each other, that's going to affect what the shoulder blade can do. So some people have really tight ribs. Their ribs can't move, so their shoulder blade is kind of doing this, and it's not able. You're gonna get kind of a crunchy sort of thing going on with the ribs and the shoulder blade if they're not working together harmoniously. So the ribs, and we have various breathing drills and stuff to open up the ribs in our shoulder grease program. And things like hanging can be really nice for that. And breathing through the hanging. So that's that. Then also we have the spine. So your spine, everyone rages about the thoracic spine and the T-spine, and that's for a good reason. Like if your thoracic spine can't move, if we look at this, let me put this down here for now. Okay, so if your thoracic spine is stuck here, if it can't extend, then you're going to be limited here. Whereas some people think that it's a shoulder issue, and actually it's a spine issue, because if I get here and my spine is stuck, whatever, I'm stuck here. Whereas if I can extend my spine, boom, suddenly it's not a problem anymore. That's the same for rotation, that's the same for extension, all those things. But all you need to know is that if your spine is stiff, it is going to massively affect what your shoulders are able to do. Come back to me here. There you go. So we've got shoulder, glenohumeral joint. We've got the shoulder blade. We've got the ribs. We've got the spine. Now, coming from all of this, your spine bone's connected to your other spine bone, was connected to your hips. So your hips can actually also affect your shoulder, because if we come back, if our T-spine can be affect our shoulders, our T-spine is also affected by our lumbar spine and our hips. So if you're tight in your hips, it's going to make it much harder. Your T-spine is going to have to do more work to be able to extend and everything. So hips can also be an issue. Lots of people, they fix their hips, their shoulders suddenly feel better, because your body works as one unit, and especially with things like the shoulder where so many things can go wrong, changing one little thing, like I said before, can make a big difference. So hips is important. We go into that in our hip mobility program. All of this stuff's in our mobility bundle, where we kind of put all the stuff in, and you can kind of take the parts that you know are issues and you can work on those. So if it's shoulders and spine, that's what I'd recommend that you start with, shoulders and spine. If you can improve the mobility of all of those areas, then chances are your shoulder's going to feel a lot better. If your shoulder's still struggling, if you're not able to get into a sweet catch position, might be your hips, okay? Then I would go into looking at the hips. Are your hips super tight? If your hips are super tight and you already know that, just work on that anyway. It's going to make everything better, right? Especially these things like shoulders and hips. They're so connected to so many other parts of your body because they're kind of at the center there. That's your core. Issues with those are going to inevitably lead to issues elsewhere. But also, as you improve those a little bit, it's going to improve a lot the rest of your body as well. So, anyway, back to the point. Mobility. You need to train your mobility to be able to even get into that position. That's the first thing. Second thing is, are you strong enough in that position to actually be able to, it's great getting into a catch position, but then can you pull yourself past it, right? You've got to pull your whole body weight. You've got to pull your body weight fast whilst having a good grip on the water. So you need to be strong enough in that position as well. So that's the next thing. Do you have the strength in those positions? Because some people can get into a great catch position nice and fine, but they don't have the strength to actually pull themselves past it. Oh my god, my accent. What even is it? Cute. Anyway, if you don't have the strength to pull yourself past it, you're going to slip water naturally. So that's the next thing. Just being strong in those positions, which we do work through in our mobility programs, and then having the general strength to be able to take that through full range of motion. That would be taken care of in our main programs. General strength, general power, all of that stuff, general mobility. Then, so we've got the mobility, we've got the general strength. Then the next issue that might be is that you don't have the capacity or the endurance in those positions. So what would be really good would be our shoulder rehab program, because our shoulder rehab program is basically a shoulder capacity program as well, right? It's easy to start. It's just body weight stuff. So like one of the moves, for example, is literally just internal, external rotation, except, you know, you think that you're doing this and it's like, oh, that's easy. But it is easy for the first few reps. But by the time you get to rep 100, you have this insane burn. You have tons of blood flow. You have tons of neural connection from your brain to that joint, reinforcing information into your brain, reinforcing capacity, because you're having to deal with all of that acid in there. You're having the strength, and you're basically fighting the fatigue. And we go very, very high reps in that program. Very high reps, and that's why it's so good for healing. If you have shoulder issues, the shoulder rehab program is amazing for healing stuff quickly. It's amazing for building capacity, even if you're not in shoulder pain. It's great for building endurance in those positions that you're going to need. So if you're getting to the end of the race and you're slipping water, part of the problem is because, great, you can get into the position, you can be strong there, but do you have the capacity when the acid starts building up in your shoulders at the end of your 100, 200? Do you have the capacity to still get into those positions and still be efficient? And this is where so many people break down, is their technique's actually fine, and they think they're breaking down at the end of their races because they think there's something wrong with their technique, so they go and do more technique work. But your technique's fine. You just don't have the basic capacity to be able to endure holding that technique under race pace. And I've got lots of views on, well, I have one view on technique work, and I would say, bloody hell, I wonder how many videos we have a helicopter come by and I say bloody hell. Anyway, views, yeah, technique training is it really very useful if you're doing technique training not under the same stress that you would be in a race? I don't think it's that useful. How many people do you see have amazing technique when things are easy, which is when most people do their technique? Slow, easy. How many people are putting constraints in place in their training so that they're actually taking that technical aspect to the extreme and training it hard? Because when you get to a race, you're going to be under a ton of stress. Can you hold that technique under stress? That's the stuff. That's the beauty. That's the sweet spot of where we should be training technique, I think. Unless you're a beginner. Obviously, if you're a beginner and you have terrible technique and you can't really swim very well, then obviously starting easy is the place to go. But that's usually not the problem. Most people usually are having technique problems, not when they're fresh and fine and things are easy. They're usually having technique problems when things get hard, towards the end of practice, when you're fatigued, towards the end of your races, when you're fatigued. So the shoulder rehab program is a great capacity program to build the fundamentals of that so that you actually have the ability to be able to get into those positions and hold them when things get tough. So we've got, can you get into the position? Can you be strong there? Can you be strong there when things get tough, when it gets hard? And obviously, all of these things are going to marry together. Like, all of these things are important. Increasing your strength is going to increase your capacity as well. Increasing your capacity is going to increase your mobility, because when you get tired, your mobility is going to get down as your joints get tight. Mobility is going to increase your capacity, because the less you're resisting yourself, the less hard you have to work to get into those positions. So all of this stuff's important all at the same time, right? You kind of need all of it if you want to do this properly. I had one more point. What is it? What could it be? Mobility, strength, capacity. Well, maybe that's for another video. I've forgotten. Bloody hell. And the helicopters are coming. So if you can do all those things, you will, usually that is the hole in your bucket, right? That is the things that are stopping you from doing what you want to do in practice in your races. So if you can work on these things, and there'll be a bunch of stuff that you can do below. I would recommend, if you get the mobility bundle, you get all of this stuff, and you can focus on the stuff that's important to you. But if you get these foundational things right, if you get your body, get yourself as an athlete able to do this stuff better, then it will just happen naturally when you get into practice, right? Your body, you know what you need to do, but the thing holding you back is not you knowing what to do or you doing more technique work. Almost all the time, for relatively experienced swimmers, is the fact that your body is not allowing you to do that when it matters. So hopefully this makes sense. Able to get into those positions under all of this stress. If you can do that, then you're onto a winner. By doing all these things as well, you're going to have less pain, you're going to feel freer, other parts of your body are going to open up, as well as your catch positions, right? And this stuff's going to work for all your catch positions, no matter what stroke it is. I know people are like, what about breaststroke? What about butterfly? If you make your shoulders and your body work better, if you make all of these aspects better, mobility. Do you need this for butterfly? Yes. Do you need this for butterfly? Yes. Do you need it for breaststroke? Yes. Freestyle? Yes. Backstroke? Yes. Your body needs to be able to move as well as it possibly can for every single stroke, right? We're building the foundation of you being a human being, you being able to move, and then the specific stuff comes when you get into the pool. So if you do these programs, you increase your mobility, your strength, your ability to get into these positions, you're going to train those positions when you get into the pool, right? You don't need to train that stuff outside of the pool. We're building your capacity to be able to do that stuff. Then you get in the pool and then you practice it. Race pace, whatever you're doing, butterfly, breaststroke, freestyle, backstroke, whatever it is, those specifics are going to come and translate into the pool when you get into the pool. You don't need a breaststroke program outside of the pool. It's going to look exactly the same. We have done this in the past, just for marketing purposes. We had a breaststroke program, and a butterfly program, and a freestyle program, and a backstroke program. They're all exactly the same program, and all the feedback we got was, oh my god, I love how it's catered to breaststroke. It's so good. My breaststroke feels so much better. Oh, guess what? You were doing the butterfly program and the freestyle program, and back. They're all the same program. Just so you know, when we're doing, sometimes I use strokes to help you understand and help you make the connection, because a lot of people think in terms of strokes, when on the land you have to think in terms of your body, your fundamental athleticism, human, and then when you improve all of that, it makes everything you do in the pool better. Everything, right? Improving your leg strength is going to help your breaststroke, your butterfly, all the strokes, starts, turns, everything, right? Because your legs are better. Does it mean that you have breaststroke legs? No. Improving your hip mobility is going to improve all the strokes, not just breaststroke. Just hopefully I'm getting that point across. You probably already know this, I don't need to rant about this. Anyway, that's the catch video. Work on your catch. Do all the fundamental stuff first. It's going to make a big, big difference. Check out the description. Try out some of the programs. When you do these programs, don't just do them once and then be like, oh, it didn't work. If you do it once, it won't work. If you like did one swim session and said, oh, this program doesn't work, you would call yourself an idiot. You'd be like, obviously, it's training. Training takes time. Training results are temporary, so you need to stack them over time. So give these things a proper chance. Don't just do them for a week and then be like, oh, it didn't work. Chances are you're going to feel worse in the beginning, because you're doing stuff that, if you're training properly, that you haven't done before. You're stimulating your body. It's going to get fatigued. It's going to get tired. You're going to get a little bit sore in some new areas. You have to go through that period to get to the adaptation period, where you stop getting so sore. Your body starts to actually adapt and realize, okay, we're going to be doing this long term. Let's start to adapt. Okay, so you need to stack that stuff over time. Do it for a few months, and then when you make it part of your routine and you almost forget that you're like looking for this specific result, you'll look back one day and you'll realize, oh wow, my catch is so much better. I didn't even think about it, because this program is just part of my routine now. I just do it now. So, oh, one more thing. I've remembered the thing. One really, really important thing is your grip strength for shoulders and for catch positions. So many swimmers, this is almost like the little bonus at the end. So many swimmers have come to me saying, oh, I'm slipping water at the end of my races. I just don't have good shoulder endurance. A lot of the time, especially for swimmers, a lot of the time our shoulders take a beating, and because swimming is kind of weird, we're not actually challenging our hands and our grip. We're just getting the shoulders going, and when your brain doesn't have good grip strength, like, it's not going to allow you to push so hard with your shoulders, because in most movements, usually our hands are doing the thing, whether we're throwing or whether we're pulling ourselves. Our grip is intimately related to how your shoulders function and the capacity of your shoulders. So, and it might, if this is a new concept to you, it might be crazy, but if you start hanging, First of all, you're going to get loads of mobility benefits from just hanging and having gravity kind of take care of some of the work. And naturally, when you grip, it's going to connect your grip through your shoulders back to your brain. That's going to have some amazing benefits. Mental health benefits come with hanging a lot, because it's tough. It's so much information because you've got so many nerve endings in your hands. That's why hanging is so difficult. That's why our hands are so sensitive. But it also means that that's a massive key, a big window into your brain, which controls everything. So if you can make your brain stronger through hanging and stuff, it's going to make everything better, body-wide, life-wide. And also, your grip. Increasing your grip strength. So many swimmers go from not being able to hang their body weight for 30 seconds, and then they go up to holding for over a minute 30, some people up to 2 minutes. The difference between how they're able to swim, particularly when things get hard at the end of the races, just from starting hanging, if they can go from a 30-second hang to a minute hang to a minute 30 hang, the difference in their swimming is astronomical. It's mathematical. So just doing a bit of hang, I'm not going to talk about it too much, I'll do hanging for another video, but hanging is really good. We have different kinds of hanging throughout the programs, so give them a try. Get hanging. Just if even you don't have to get anything or do anything, just start hanging, right? Just start hanging start at 3 minutes, work up to 5 minutes a day. Go to failure where your grip gives out, and then take a few breaths, get back in, accumulate 3 minutes of actual hang time, not including the rest periods. And then when you get up to, say, a minute, then go up to, or a minute 30 of your first hang, then go up to 5 minutes daily. That's probably a good place to start. But just hanging, you don't need to do anything fancy with it. We do some fancier stuff with hanging in the programs to speed up results and to hit you from different angles and get things done much quicker. But just hang, right? It's going to make a big difference. Okay, so we've hit a bunch of stuff in this video. 27 minutes now, so I'm gonna shut up and you can rewatch this. And said the programs are all there. Have fun. I hope this was helpful. This is all the stuff that you probably haven't heard quite like this about improving your catch positions. Guys, this doesn't just help your catch positions, right? This helps absolutely everything else because it's going to improve your movement. But I've said that, so shut up. Let's go. Have a good day. Peace, love, all that good stuff.